Mama take over Yavakama. Yakama went through Parliament. Yavakama. Who messed up with everything? Who chased away the European Union delegation? What type of judge is this? I have been shocked that this woman, this younger girl, Magala, died in Chengera safe house. That as these people were demanding money, Museveni is in charge of the operation to save Magala. Magala was in a safe house in Chengera, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to mobilize people. Is it a question of loyalty, or is it a question of service delivery? How would any sensible government allow a man like Sobi to run security? A man like a Jew, a former thief, security. Musajja yabbe Ddala
eryasirimu
nali from the southern Sudan intended for Uganda. If I reveal you, Minister Justice, people will pounce you and kill you. A man who was in a couple who threatened Bobi Wine that he will not allow him to address the rally is all at DC. Oh, you know, you can such a man with such a character, with such a mind. Who doesn't know that this is an opposition leader, a primitive man like that one? How can he be an analyst of Kampala? And everybody keeps quiet. Me, I don't fear to be killed. You kill me, every maggot gets out of my body. You pepper 2 humans in your family.
Mbaniriza nnyo. Yenze Kanka Capital, yenze producer wa TM Online Television, nze gwawulire eno kuba nze nkuweereza program eyitibwa Political Dose. Sigenda kubalwisaayo, bajjukizaako ntambula ne Hajibiyinzika. Hajibiyinzika omusajja ono omusomi w'edduwa gw'olaba ku screen yawo. Hajibiyinzika nnyambako okubatuusaako Political Dose, mukubireko okuba omusajja musomi wa dduwa ku nnamba eyo gy'olaba ku screen. Kaakati buli munnayuganda wenna w'oli nkujjukizaako nabazigira w'oyinza okujja omulimu ogukuwa ssente. Bangi mwenna abagenda ebweru toyina skills zikumala kusobola kufuna mulimu ogenda kuwa kasente kegasa. Nabagamba waliwo academy eyitibwa Roast Coffee Academy. Roast Coffee Academy eno eri mu Abu Dhabi ku Al-Wahda okuliraana Al-Wahda Mall ku luguudo olugenda ku Kisawo bagiyita Airport Road. Kwatagana ne mukulu Tiger Sharif ku namba z'essimu z'olaba ku screen basobole okutendeka skills ez'enjawulo ezirimu coffee profiling, coffee roasting, bakuyigiriza barista skills, bakuyigiriza latte art, bingi nnyo n'osobola okufuna omulimu ogukuwa akasente. Ate gwali mu Uganda nga wali agadde okukola omulimu ogukweyagaza, Roast Coffee esobola okutendeka ng'ekujja wano mu Uganda n'ekutwala, ate oba tonnamaliriza kusoma koosi kuggwako, ate ne bakufunira omulimu ekyo ky'ekyenjawulo. So nyongera okubajjukizaako aba Roast Coffee Academy mu Abu Dhabi musobole okubeera nga mubajjumbira.
One of the suspected hospitals where organs are extracted from patients, killing them, is a missionary hospital. Shameful. Bajja kumbazi nga bali kumeka omuliro. Ejo omuliro nsona bongere bamukuba.
Ayemze vice eyo yeyongedde nnyo naku
zino. My answer is that yes, the World Bank, the United Nations alerted us.
Yes.
Said that
there has been an increase in the demand. The demand is high for organs.
And you see, many Ugandans, when you go to the passport office, many people are acquiring passports.
Yes.
No, are now aware that their organs have highly demanded.
They tell us that there are crowds there of people going abroad.
It will be government intervention. Let us how people die here. Instead of turning them, instead of being turned into spare parts. The Chinese are the Pakistan I fought to here is in prison now. I fought him single-handedly. Many people were saying that I was squeezing my nose. The Chinese I fought here, the lady
who came to buy organs.
Yes, at Nanyanga hotel, they has sent $2 million to kill the case. That's why they are arrogant. My answer is that Europeans left them under Ugandan management. And more importantly, they also receive drugs from the state national drug authority. Where do they put these drugs? Government gives missionary hospitals drugs, free drugs. Is the cost of their treatment different?
It's even higher.
Yes, how can you have people who are killing people for organs in the missionary hospital in Kampala?
I see.
It's in Kampala where it's suspected that people are being killed by their organs. Once I reveal the hospital, the Ugandans will rise up, pounce on it, and burn its buildings. That's why I'm here, because I know I'm a popular man here. I move cautiously. I don't incite the population. I don't provide the answers, and I give you warning.
You want them to.
It is obvious that the opposition only talks about empty health centers to undermine the government, but do not provide lasting solutions to the problem. At one time, a man stole HIV drugs from Uganda, from the stores, and sold it to Southern Sudan, worth 5 billion. His relative, a judge, sentenced him to 6 months or a fine of 600,000. The judge, if I reveal you, Mr. Justice, people will pounce you and kill you. Omulamuzi, umusajja yabba eddagala
Erya siriimu
ttaano n'alitunda Southern Sudan, intended for Ugandans. Omulamuzi muganda we oli yajja yeevuga mu video. I have a video clip. Omulamuzi oyo nga namwogedde wiigi bazookya n'ennyumba ye tesulawo. N'ennyumba ye tesulawo.
Wiigi bazookya.
Did he make such a right sentence? Because Museveni had directed.
Oli yamusalira emyezi 6 n'emitwalo 6
oba emitwalo 6. The man went back at nkwogere omulamuzi gwe. Should I reveal with this judge so that Ugandans can pounce on him? But because I'm a mature man, I had somebody praising himself 52. 52. What is about 52? A fool at 50 is a fool forever. A thief at 50 is a thief forever.
I see.
Kill me, you will pay. Every maggot will be paid for by a member of your family. A joke is on the Kumaremu of Joseph Guamulensi. One joke and Uncle government. Now, let us finish this battle. Democracy. Amazing is it. When the commentators talk about democracy in Uganda, they overlook several important factors, including the following. Since the pre-independence election of 1961 in Uganda, which were massively rigged, and 1962 independence elections, where some Ugandans in Uganda were denied the right to vote, the IMPs, it took us almost 20 years to have another election in 1980. What had gone wrong? Were there no ballot papers, indelible ink, capable Ugandans who would make us voters registers? What was lacking? This to me is very important, and it should be equally important to our foreign friends.
I see.
We are having regular elections until the question of money and buying candidates and buying voters came. Museveni, from 1961 up to 1980, we did not have a single election. The local councils you are talking about were nominated by the president, by Minister of Local Government. Today, when Museveni took over from 1986, people are voting. That's why we are suffering from voters fatigue. People don't want to go to vote. They know that after 5 years. But it was once upon a time, during those times, a person who voted in 1962, when he was 60, he never voted again. Because it was after 20 years, in 1980, we voted again. Democracy. Members of the Electoral Commission are appointed by the President and vetted by Parliament. Jakama went through Parliament. Who messed up with everything? Who chased away the European Union delegation? What type of judge is this? Why don't you introduce political science to judges in the law course? Did this Yabakama?
No, it may not matter. What matters is who do you appoint to run an election.
Didn't this man know that if you did not invite the European Union, they will cut off 8? Yes. If you do not consult me, if I don't observe, because what the Yabakamas don't understand is that the money given to you by European Union comes from taxpayers. the taxpayers
in Europe.
Once you take my money from European
they even put there some slogan that from the people of UK.
Yes. Now, if these taxpayers get to know that the government, the recipient of their money, and it's not easy because these people don't travel. If you want to know that Europeans pay a lot of taxes, you go there when you are not a citizen. When you go to Europe and buy goods, at the airport they refund your money provided you have the receipt, which means the foreigner does not pay tax. But this foreigner who does not pay tax is the recipient of their money.
Receives but doesn't pay.
The piper controls the tune.
I see.
How does this man, the chairman of the Electoral Commission, fail to understand this elementary diplomacy?
But maybe he was ordered.
That I have no trust in that Judge Biabaka. He charged the message with the cause DPP. This is the man who I chose the message of raping a woman
after 2 years.
After. Where could we get the evidence? And the chairman, this tells you that Besigye deals with these people. Besigye would have come out, the opposition would have come out to say no. A person was DPP and accused me of raping a case.
Cannot
woman
be chairman of the Electoral Commission.
After 2 years. Wouldn't be in charge of elections.
Maybe it was decided on the NRM majority. Because you guys have the majority in parliament.
Raised the issue.
We did not hear anything.
Yes. Do you think that why don't I work in the government? They rejected the government job. I cannot be under any of these arrogant boys. We shall fight, we shall fight, we shall fight until these boys. And the goodness of the mafia group, it is split into two. The modern
is that good?
Wing, which is not criminal, and these criminals, which must be taken away by USA.
Biden should.
Biden take these arrogant boys away and put them in the prisons in American jails. Yes. If the government, if the president cannot handle them, let other people handle them.
Yes.
Because if they are not handled, the mob will pounce on them. They cannot cause us trouble.
I see.
People fear. Should we go to the abyss? Go back to the abyss?
Because of a group of not more than 20.
Should be bombed like Iraq? Should be subject to American airstrikes? Like Libya? Should do a no-fly zone imposed on us? What have we committed?
Nothing.
Bayolomu zone ne bunne esabutafuji babuyole babujjewa abamerika batuyambe bamujole batumulabe ko munyonyi nga bamutwala ejogoli mugwemu
mpulira
ayise that opposition candidates do not. You see, this is the first time to see opposition candidates winning. Bobi Wine has defeated the NRM in the whole region, the central region, and we are not illiterate. No. Me, I don't participate in this election actively. I knew that the government was
blundering.
Yes. In political science, we have two phrases: losing an election and being defeated. Losing an election means that you have embarked on a self-destruction mission, like in Kampala. Never bawutoda. Never bera batali. No, this time
Razimba Katali akemiti.
You people, if you don't stop your arrogance, when you see Baganda, I've been explaining that once you see Baganda replacing the intellectuals with the well-educated people, they are planning a riot. Yes, they have been pushed the world.
Sima yako kushaba.
Stop provoking Baganda. Baganda did the people. They fought over it. They fought Idi Amin. They supported themselves.
Susan Kushaba.
Do you know?
Yazalibwa Embalala.
Do you know?
Mwala wa John Rwigambwa ne Grace Rwigambwa.
To incite Baganda to rise up against this woman. Kisaka, Chisaka. These are hunting dogs who will be killed.
I see.
The mob will pounce on them. The presidency directive is clear. If they said, President Museveni said, markets had been sold to individual businessmen. Museveni being a socialist, he said no. Markets should remain. If the state council cannot manage these markets, what do we do? Museveni said, hand over the markets to the ordinary people, the vendors. One, they can develop them on their own. They can identify a pattern, or government can come in. The window market you are talking about, the people in the window market mobilize the funds and go to the window market. Kisaka. These are hunted people, hunting the dogs of the mafia gang. If you see a narrow running away from a road, how can you say that a virgin can manage a man? But why do I say? I'm not society. No, I don't want this propaganda to kill me. They say, my mother survived Kishaka. And the ministers are, this minister of Kampala, they have denounced her. She went to the president for something else. Kubanga omulenzi tayagala sizaala, omulenzi ayagala to incite the population. Naye afe nakyo. Tojja kufa nakyo. Tepinza kukkiriza bw'ofe nakyo. Gwettayo omuntu omu. Ategeere nti gwe wamusi. Olabe bw'odduka.
Mbadde njagala ombuulireko mukama wo baamuziriridde iPod.
No. What I'm
he has the chairman, he went there. The seats were empty. 68, there were only 2 people.
These people, they're just idiots. Which opposition is split? There is no opposition that is split. There is no opposition which is split. No opposition. It does not need to be to populate it to people. What is happening is simple. When do you have unity? IPOD, Human Rights Commission, the vetting of appointees product new innovations from the 1995 Constitution. The people, the framers of the Constitution believed that the presidency had a lot of powers. And many people who did not do political science used to say that the president of Uganda enjoys much powers. That the problem was the presidency. That Idi Amin killed the people because he was illiterate. That Obote killed the people using the constitution of 67. That was draconian. That because they did not study to know what happened, they came up with the new innovations. But they didn't understand. One of these innovations was giving money to and benefits to retiring presidents. Like this man, a Sudanese, who gives money to retiring presidents. People believe that people killing to power because they cannot live outside. But these are people who have stolen money. All the dictators have more money in Europe, which means the money is not their problem. No, I can understand that when a drunkard urinates in his trousers, he cannot stand up and go because he will be exposing himself. So people tend to believe in Africa and developing countries that once you leave power, what you have looted will not survive beyond you. But what about Moi? Moi is Welsh, has outlived his regime. Moi, Kenyatta.
Was he a dictator?
It depends on how you have accumulated that money. Nebo babantu, ngobba nuni ku nyanja, ngobba nyama, obba mata, ojoga bantu.
Owamba butali.
People are itching to grab you like a grasshopper. Baba kulinze bakwate. But Kenyatta got money and shared with others. There are many rich people in every tribe. The Mudavadis, rich people. The Rahira family is rich. The Katanangala family in Mombasa, they shared. Never was. They have the master and slave relationship. They have a hunting dog and a hunter relationship. Oh, you know, no will answer somebody during the elections. I must be under him. I will never be a Wampakas in my life. If you kill, even my grave will not be under your territory. Take it with your mother's quick. Timuri and Jogam, one of when I saw these people stinking in poverty, they come from, I come from a rich family. Both family. Both family in Japan. I rejected their job. It depends on how you have acquired the wealth.
Yes.
If you are stealing from the public will always be itching
to pounce on you. Immediately you lose power.
So this is the explanation. iPod, even after the elections of 2011, iPod is a you support is a soccer. We have we call it what? The Rigi Committee. The Rigi Committee manages, FUFA is there, but there is a Rigi Committee, which handles small issues like what? In 1980, we had an inter-party committee. This iPod is also in the same line. In 1980, we had 10 soldiers in the representing the army in parliament. Didn't the army overthrow the government?
Of course.
These are issues that symbolically, but they don't deter a problem. Therefore, kakati wetutunulya iPod is an association of political parties with the members of parliament. When this newspaper, which is being sponsored by the mafia gang, wants to say that the opposition in Uganda is divided, no, the opposition sat exams marked and the results were out. How many MPs does UPC have in the parliament?
About there are 3.
How many MPs does DP have in the parliament?
Very few.
The leader of the opposition is Bobi Wine. So if Bobi Wine does not come, then these people, even those who are the sympathizers, because you know when the president is tackling our problem from 3 fronts. 1, Museveni admits that this was a government operation, a security operation, a preemptive operation, which the mafias had given to him to get him money, which he didn't do. Museveni depends on security forces. Museveni depends on intelligence organization. He's not a magician. So, why do you think that Museveni has admitted that the killers of the Boxer were security forces? Why has Museveni admitted that we arrested these people, tried them, and are going to be released? Why did the release of these people featured prominently in a meeting where Bobi Wine did not attend? Any editor, serious editor, will analyze this. Bobi Wine did not attend. How many DPs were arrested? None. How many UPCs were arrested? None. The people who have been arrested, they killed, and they tortured, they belong to no. Nobody did not attend. But how did the president respond to Nopo's demands in absence of Nopo leaders? In the editor of the newspaper would say that Museveni wanted the platform. He wanted 2 things. I'm not opposed to political enemies. I can sit with them. When this is the last time Sebanakis attended, the UPC attended with the head of the UPC was Obatezi Wizo, and basically did not attend. Why? The perception of people. The opposition in Uganda, when you meet the president, people say you have been bought. And I can predict, authoritatively predict, that red paper will come up with alarming headlines. Mao buys 2 billion Manson to undermine Museveni's efforts because the people are fighting Museveni inside his palace.
News is already circulating that Museveni has endorsed Mao for the Iyala seat, and some Nopu whatever.
Okay.
It is circulating.
The other time, Mbide went there. But if you remove socks from a stinking feet, does it go away?
No.
You remain with your stage. The problem cannot be solved by Museveni meeting these people who have nothing. They have totally nothing. This is a replica. In fact, let me read for you another book of mine. Another book of mine. Because for me, I saw these things coming. I think this is it. I tell you, I say after 1980, I said in my book, this is the wisdom of a fisherman. I wrote it when? I wrote it dated 16 is what? I want to reproduce all of these books. Yes. I want a modern printing press. I want a donor, an international donor with the credibility like UNESCO. These are readable materials. They contain a lot of information. I don't want to land on people's own money masquerading themselves as foreign donors. I write in my book, as I stated in my book, Uganda through the storm 80s. This is not materialized. We are told by 1980, I was a DP youth winger, very active. In 1980, I was around, and the people like Samuel knew me. All the DP leaders knew me. I was one of the DP youth wingers. I said, we had the DPs, we had banked on the Achoris. We thought that the Achoris, if the Achoris were given a prominent position in the Democratic Party in 1980, and the bulk of the army were Achoris, if for what rigged elections, the Achoris will capture the government and hand it over to Samuel. I write in my book, in 1984, the Democratic Party was split into factions. The Achoris, the Acholi leaders, like a Vice President Meriokin, and the then Secretary General Chaya, were agitating for the removal of Dr. Samuel. Reasoning that Acholi officers in the army were ready to overthrow Obote on condition that the power was handed over to the DP. But the leader should be an Acholi. This reminded the DP leaders what the Acholi officers said before 1980 elections. They had convinced DP leaders that they would overthrow the government in the case of rigged elections, which did not materialize. As I stated in my book, Uganda through the stormy 80s, this is not materialized. I gave 2 examples. On the 11th of December 1980, a day after the elections, switch it off, a day after the elections, while at the DP headquarters, Johnson Street in Kampala, I saw Dr. Samuel with the British High Commission to Uganda, together with M.i.S.O, who was going to be Samuel's vice president. They told the cheering crowd that we are heading to Paulo Mwanga's office to get the mantle of power, since they had won the elections. At midday, we are perplexed to see Brigadier Basilio Lalokero chasing us from the DP headquarters, saying that we should go home and wait for the election results, since they will be read live on Radio Uganda. He gave us only 5 minutes to vacate the place. We obediently left because he was heavily armed and in the company of a number of soldiers who looked ready to shoot. This appeared strange to me, since the very man with the DP supporters had banked on all our hopes. Early on, Dr. Samuel had narrated to me an incident where Tiberio ran to Dr. Samuel's residence and hid himself under the bed. Reason being that Tiberio had used a public rally to attack Obote and the security personnel were after him. Therefore, when Tiberio brought a rumor that the actual army officers wanted to remove Obote and hand over power to him, Tiberio, and that Dr. Samuel was going to be stripped of the DP leadership, we summarily rat as DP leaders. All of the DP leaders flatly rejected the whole idea. Tiberio and Ochaya attacked Dr. Samogere, accusing him of pocketing DP funds, which were donations from party sympathizers, and selling a modern printing press that had been donated to the party to print Munnansi, a party newspaper. On the printing press, Tiberio was correct because it had been quietly sold off by the party treasurer, Evariste Nyanzi. Tiberio and Ochaya left the party and formed their own, the Liberal Democratic Party. But when the Okeros overthrew Obote, they never handed over power to Tiberio Oke. Instead, Mwanga took power. It could be that Dr. Samogere, who maintained closeness, Paulo Mwanga, was aware of the coup, and he knew that the coup promoters would not hand over power to DP leadership, whom they did not trust, or there was a split within the actual officers. The only thing that the Okeros did to link DP supporters was waving and singing DP songs as they entered Kampala in 1985. They came raising a DP symbol, the fist, but they did not hand over power to Samogere. When Samogere joined Paulo Mwanga's government as the Minister of Internal Affairs, had hoped that the government would end the war. NRM leaders opened up contacts with Paulo Mwanga. It was in such a meetings where Mayor Katabarwa was killed, and Mwanga had agreed to remove Obote and enter into an alliance with all of the opposition groups. It is with this background that Paulo Mwanga became executive prime minister, indicating and assuring those groups that he was in charge. When Paulo Mwanga took over, what happened? However, it seems the NRM was playing tricks with the Okeros and Paulo Mwanga. They knew that holding on to power could not be possible without military party. Like what I'm telling you, this young man cannot hold power without his father's law. The moment he undermines the hand that feeds him, he will end up in European jails. Fortunately for him, he says he's still for the any eventuality.
But why is he arrogant?
Museveni could not. On the other hand, there was no way Museveni could share power with the people like a Bobi Wine, as it is today. Museveni could share power with the people whose hands were stained with human blood. Mwanga went ahead and formed a government with all of the political parties and the fighting groups like Dr. Kayira, UFM, and Nkwagazi Fedem. His arrangement was given a heavy blow by the NRM when they rejected an appointment in the government. He had formed without their involvement and consultation. The NRM was correct. Museveni had worked with Paulo Mwanga and other UPC fellows earlier during the UNF for days, had seen how bureaucracy paralyzed the running of government. Museveni under NRM could not re-enter a similar arrangement when he was sure of victory. This is the situation now. Can Bobi Wine join the iPod when he knows what is the developments in the country, when he knows that somebody wants to succeed Museveni by hook or crook, when his supporters have been killed, nails removed, have been held in detention
for longer than usual.
Yes.
Tried in court martials.
We are going back to the 1985 situation. This explains why the peace talks between Museveni and Mwanga government that resulted into a government of national unity were nipped in the bud. Museveni could not allow his victory on the front line to be taken away by the vanquished through diplomatic methods. The Okeros had been decisively defeated. We are facing the same situation. If Bobi Wine knows the developments in the region, he knows what the Americans want to do. He knows that we have tainted our humanist image. He knows that Museveni is tough on these fellows. I know. Give Museveni a chance. This young man is not the first stubborn person. The only thing is that Museveni is a relative. Did he accompany Museveni to the boss? Did his parents accompany Museveni to the boss? Museveni is planning his retirement. Museveni has got visions from God. Has seen how his comrades like
around.
Yes,
but he's not learning from it.
You, Museveni is intelligent. In our traditions, not traditions, I told you this in Kofira. Resemble means it symbolizes the rank and the respect I have in the traditional religion. This is not a rosary.
Anyway,
this is the traditional Kofira.
What rank is it?
Yes,
the traditional
I'm a highly respected man
in the traditional religion. In
the traditional religion.
Are you serious? Hey.
This is a Kofira.
Maybe that's why you have survived several attempts.
When High Command heard that Museveni had signed an agreement with Okero Rutwa, they threatened to fight without Museveni. Therefore, Museveni could not throw away his victory. And that's why the Nairobi peace talks became peace jokes. It could end up like the airport meetings. Because UPC has come in Nafi, Museveni it is mandatory to the president of Uganda to meet leaders of opposition groups. But like Museveni had the power to change leadership. Bobi Wine does not see any reason to attend. That's why he withdrew the case. He wanted to embarrass the judiciary. All of the judges who failed to defend themselves will never preside over any case. Anyone can. Everybody will come up and say, if you people could not provide over an important case, this is what the judges, the NRM sympathizers, and the mafias don't understand. They are celebrating deceptive victory. This young man has exposed the judiciary, destroyed the judiciary, like the way he has destroyed the institutions. Yes. The judiciary has totally been destroyed. These judges have been destroyed.
Those who think that they should celebrate.
Bobi Wine says these are like Muslims, these are sheikhs who have not killed themselves and therefore they cannot lead the players. The following day, Bobi Wine goes to court because he's not after the mosque. He's not after Islam. He's after the type that these people must clean themselves. The judges, including the Chief Justice, have on the bench, have failed to take advantage to prove themselves. Akadomola kange kakaka mva kutapu kufuna wuzu. They're insisting on becoming imams. You will not become imams because you failed to prove.
This young man is very clever. I realize he's very clever.
Destroyed the judiciary. The panel of judges. And you know this is a trend. The other day, Jamilu Mukuru refused to ask for bail. He said the judge must, we call it what? That what? Is he choose. When the judge became stubborn, the man said, let me die in prison. When it means, let me give you an example. Mr. Justice Owinyedola and other affected judges. If female students reject a male teacher, that teacher should not mark our test. What does it mean? What would that mean? If students, female students say that this lecturer should be moved, what does it mean? It will be haunted.
It means you have no trust in what he's about to do because of hidden agenda.
Don't celebrate. In fact, the judiciary would come up and say, yes, this man has taken his case, yes, but he raised issues. Instead of reading that brief document from Amako, the judiciary would take advantage of addressing the issues he raised. He talks about, he touches, his concern, touches on the credibility of us.
Yes.
Let us prove that we are judges.
We are very credible.
You can even quote cases where ruled in the favor of the opposition.
I see.
They went there arrogant.
Instead of showing you arrogance.
These judges will never be the same as they were yesterday. The man, this young man has destroyed their future. Yes, I'm telling you.
And they are not working towards cleaning themselves.
Look what? Katulev and Kavuma. Kavuma was acting Chief Justice. He did not. Kavuma's name cannot go through parliament. It means all judges will never be promoted. Because the Bobi Wine controls a large percentage. Even if they send NRM defeats them by numbers, it means these judges on the bench, having failed to prove that they have the wuzu. Before for them they said
to lead the prayer.
A stubborn man said you cannot conduct it. You cannot lead us in prayer.
Because
you have not killed yourself.
You lack
the wuzu. These judges, instead of proving, nabadde negundi negundi. Look at us. Look at our career. We have 100 serious cases. They miss this point. Maybe they can take advantage in the future. Otherwise, they have been blacklisted. Anybody, whenever they show their faces, somebody will just say, not these the judges, or Bobi Wine rejected. What will be our future if another government comes into power? Have these judges thought about their future? Let me tell you, we had the Chief Justice on Asa Oda. Was an actually Erangireke Obote. Obote appointed him a judge from, he was a legal officer in Uganda Commercial Bank. Obote wanted him to try and convict the rebels. One of the people, the case he handled, involved Ejisingira. Ejisingira, it was clear. Why? Ejisingira was accused of addressing a rebel camp, a rebel rally, addressing rebels in a camp at a forest called Narubugo. The lawyer of Ejisingira was a smart lawyer, Joseph Mulenga, who later became a judge. He later became a judge and a former Minister of Justice when Museveni took over in 1986. Was a smart guy. Mulenga told the court that he asked the witness, Bamutiri, I don't know where these girls went. We have Basoga. They used the Basoga girls who had infiltrated the rebels to pin down. The first thing was, did you see Ejisingira in the camp? The girls said yes. What was the time? 3 p.m. Oh, they bought a book of recording, the parliamentary book where MPs record. I learned from that time, from Ejisingra's case, when there is a requirement to record my name at any place, I record my name. Ejisingira had come to parliament, recorded his name in the attendance book. Mulenga said, this man was in the parliament according to the book of attendance, and he even signed his name. And Mulenga told the author that a person cannot be in two places at one time. So this man was in parliament. They saw somebody else. But Oda, Erangi, like Obote, who had been appointed to ensure that Ejisingira was convicted, he did not raise the issue. Writing in a book means that you attended. Oda did not ask, he would have asked the UPC MPs. After that, did you see Ejisingira in the parliament between this time and this time? Oda kept quiet. Because he had known the future.
I see.
The man who shone in the present was an Acholi, Mr. Justice Okero. The Acholis in the government had known in the judiciary that things were going to change. Katekaya's sister, a judge, he used to call herself Byamugisha. When the NRM came to power, he invoked the name Katekaya. He was a sister of Katekaya. But she hid her identity and her husband, Dr. Byamugisha, who was the lawyer of the Democratic Party.
I see.
She only revealed that name later, when the Katekayas came to power. I see. To prove as powerful as she was. Because why did Okero, the chief justice, the chief justice was a Briton called Mr. Justice Allen, and Museveni blessed him. Some of the people who become judges in Uganda cannot become policemen in their own countries. And this man was a retired policeman. I see. Yes. So Allen was appointed by Okero. Okero appointed Kayondo, a prominent lawyer in Kampala, as High Commissioner to London. And Kayondo was replaced by Chiria when these people took over. Kayondo sued for government. He had been fully appointed by Rutwa. He was rewarded £100,000. They have been here. Back to Ejisingira. I'm talking about the judiciary. that how the judiciary protected themselves against being siding with the government, and how they retained their jobs, those who retained their jobs. But Ejisingira was asked, these people, the witnesses against Ejisingira, these Basoga girls, what language was Ejisingira speaking when he addressed the rebels? They said he spoke in English. Why? He doesn't know Luganda. Ejisingira had a distinction in Luganda at his O level. Did the judge ask the authenticity of his certificate or it was fake? He knew, or better had appointed the fellow Langi to ensure that Ejisingira was convicted.
But the judge knew.
But the judge knew
something was about to change.
Yes, power was about to change. Then, who knew was that the judge asked Mulenga to present the academic certificate of Ejisingira to prove that Ejisingira had actually sat his examinations and had a distinction in Luganda. How many Basoga do study Luganda at their university? The judge kept quiet. After kept quiet. He was also asked that he addressed a forest, a camp in the forest. Where was this forest? Nalubugo forest. Mulenga presented an atlas of Uganda and challenged the witnesses to identify Nalubugo. Nalubugo, you see forest Baganda, a forest, a thicket, a bush, we almost mean the same thing.
We call them Echivira.
There was no forest. There is no forest called Nalubugo. Echivira. This was not a documented Echivira.
It was nowhere to be seen on the map.
It was nowhere to be seen. Do you think this judge didn't know
that there was Nalubugo forest?
That there was Nalubugo forest, where there was a camp. He knew, but he was looking at the future. And Mulenga made a submission of 14 days, the longest in Ugandan history at that time, and Ejisingira was acquitted by Rangi, whom Obote had plucked from Uganda Commercial Bank
and tasked to convict
him to convict. This is why, when the president looked for a judge who could chair the Human Rights Commission, he picked who? Mr. Justice Order. Yes, it was credible. Look what another judge, Mr. Justice Otwegatteko, Emmanuel Otwegatteko. He presided over Rwakasisi's case. And he was accused of granting Rwakasisi his chambers where he could have sex with his wife. And it was even alleged that Rwakasisi had impregnated his wife through in the office. Advantage. The man could leave Rwakasisi and his wife in his chambers during court sessions. They brought a Tanzanian man, judge, to preside over required by the Commonwealth. Mr. Justice Oteng is in exile. He lost his job as a judge. He's in exile, but Rwakasisi is the senior advisor of the president on security.
I see.
You see,
the future. Seeing yourself.
Did not look at the future. After order, look at the future. These are challenges of the judiciary. I told you
that Owinyi-Dolo did not look into.
We had a case in 1980 where Dr. Somogere and Dr. Kayira sued the government for an constitutional removal of Professor Lure. Lure is a Kirunda, one of the strong witnesses and the powerful minister in the Obote's government. Nayani atu tabula. Why don't you state your name? Who are you? Who are you who is knocking that ticket? Otubanja sente kwe. Chicheche kongonyoru. Obandi mwere. Don't be arrogant. If somebody does not open for you, why did that leave a warning bell on my gate? Why don't you be patient? Oza kubika, bika kati woka. Yes, I was explaining the Dr. Kayira and Semogere took government to court. Kirunda, what is raised the issue of the impartiality of the Chief Justice, Wako Wambuzi. Said Wako Wambuzi had been appointed by Olw'Embeera as Chief Justice and therefore would be biased. What did he say? Court, after hearing this, the issues raised by Kirunda, they went into session and left and came back. They raised, the judges said, responded to Kirunda's queries, concerns. Said a judge is appointed for, must be appointed by somebody. So this is not unique that this man was appointed by Olw'Embeera. Two, we don't serve, we take an oath of serving the population of Uganda. This is why we serve Ugandans. On the carrier, people have, you see in Uganda, we don't have a colonial system, a chronological system, that the chief magistrate becomes a judge. Like in the seminary.
Maybe it's a problem of your boss. Who appoints these people anyhow?
Lawyers, especially chambers, lawyers from failed chambers become judges because of poor nomination. So how can you expect that if we are not, if priests don't come from seminaries, you would be people with a questionable character, becoming popes and cardinals. But because seminary ento, seminary enkulu. Kakati in the case of the judiciary, judges don't originate from a seminary. They are ordinary people. In Uganda, any lawyer with a 7-year experience can become a judge. So they have where they started. Otherwise, we would not be marrying people, women, who have had children outside before marriage. We look at the past differently from the present.
I see.
Yes. I have never seen a man, except if you were married in church. Because at times, pregnancies are got while at school. And the perception of the girl are limited. So, if we talk about the history of everybody, why did the public trust Katulev? Katulev was a minister in Museveni's government, was an attorney general. Likewise, Kavuma was a minister, constitutional affairs minister. Why are we talking about the constitution? Why don't we question? Kavuma is the man from Njuba. Njuba was sacked and Kavuma took over. This constitution you always referred to was delivered by Kavuma. Kavuma was the minister for constitutional affairs. So why do you say that Kavuma cannot be chief justice? It would be on the basis because they determine who should and who shouldn't using their newspaper malicious stories. So therefore, the judges have missed an opportunity
to cleanse
in the case of
the judiciary.
In the case of Wako Wambuzi, the bench came back, responded to the concerns of Kirunda, and the same bench went ahead and had the case where it was ruled that although Olw'Embeera had been removed unconstitutionally,
but the court has no power.
That the court does not have the powers
to reinstate
him. And each side paid for its costs. But when you look at the way Owinyedola conducted himself, shouting, you cannot give us order. No, you don't understand that this man is destroying you, members of the bench. Do you think that Bobi Wine will never take cases to a person? Look what Mr. Justice Jonathan Tumwesi was a National Political Commissioner, was IGG under NRM. He became a judge. Once you overstay in power, this is what it means. That you always use people who have served in other capacities.
Yes.
When you read the book, the Singapore story by Kwan Liu appointed the governor of the Singaporean Central Bank as who? As the Chief Justice. And he said, I have not appointed you to look into the law. No, you practice the law as it would fit the Singaporean development. What about the Attorney General, who is a businessman? Attorney General is a businessman.
Are you serious?
Yes. Have they raised queries about his performance? Yes.
I've not had anyone raise.
It depends on how somebody reacts on accusations. This young man provoked Winyedolo.
And he fell in the trap.
Yes, and they fell in the trap. They will never preside over a case. Maybe
everyone will
start presiding over cases that belong to NRM sympathizers.
I see.
But every time this man has put a dent on them, on their future. Barishaki. I saw Barishaki. Barishaki was with the second, his assistant, as leading counsel in the Human Rights Commission. Was Barishaki. Do we have judges as born as judges? No. What about president? Even the president is only because Museveni preserved himself. But in the future we have questionable presidents. That in the case of everybody, do you look at Bush? Bush Jr., they said he did not serve in the Vietnam War because he was protected by his father to serve in the local guards. What about Kenyatta? Kenyatta was accused of being a novice, a political novice.
But he has managed the politics.
The handle of a hoe. Look what Ruto. Ruto, they say, was selling a chicken mbata at a railway station. This does not matter. Everybody has a beginning.
Of course.
Everybody has a journey.
Yes.
I know a prominent politician in 1980. I have the magazine, the Munnansi newspaper. He said, year from 7 becomes the president of Uganda, I will marry a dog. But I served in different capacities of Museveni.
I see.
Yes. In politics, we don't have somebody who is tall enough to see the future.
I see.
Yes. So what we need is to, you look at a person in his present situation. Okay. This is what they failed to understand. They brought the age limit for judges. Every regime comes with wrong people. If you had invested in intelligence training, some of these people wouldn't be in M.i.S.O. Nobody would appoint Kaka as the M.i.S.O man. He had gone, had left. Under mysterious circumstances, because Kaka was at one time accused of banning a Republic House to hide information. He went. But Kaka was a courageous man, had contributed a lot. He had spied on Kabamba. Is it a question of loyalism? Or is it a question of
service delivery?
How would any sensible government allow a man like a Sobi to run security? A man like a Juko
a former
run
thief.
Security. I have been shocked that this woman, this younger girl, Magala, died in Chengera
area.
safe house. That as these people were demanding money, Museveni is in charge of the operation to save Magala. Magala was in a safe house in Chengera, and I'm going to tell, we are going to mobilize the people. That Chengera safe house, we are going to chase it out. It has caused us to lose market. Even if you have tenants, they will not come. Everybody fears Chengera. Yes, why? Are there no safe houses in other areas? I saw many safe houses. But the problem that the Chengera safe house was intended into a stealing
house.
Yes. Where a man you quarrel with somebody's wife, you put him inside. Juku, a notorious man called the Juku. And why are they Baganda? That man will be hunted down by others. This is the problem. This is what separates Chengera. The way it is managed. It is managed by crooks. And people believe that this is my house. No. I once rented that house, but I left it. Yes.
And they turned it into a safe house.
But The Kyengera, why is Kyengera notorious? It is notorious because of the management.
The leader.
Why don't you close it? Close the Kyengera safe house. Put it somewhere else. So, in conclusion.
And safe houses sincerely should be a secret thing, not to be known by the whole public.
No,
that is a safe house.
It's Kaka who changed the whole process. At one time, the daughter of this woman, this is Somali woman, I think such a people are very experienced. When they sense the danger, they run away. This is a prominent Somali woman. It's called Nakumati. A daughter of Nakumati entered into a business with a rich businessman. When they knew that the businessman had collected the money as capital with the Nakumati's daughter, Kaka's men raided the man, put him under cuffs, and took his money. Kaka's men. What happened to people like Brian White? Immediately, Kaka, Yiso, Juku, Sobi, they became Kaka shamelessly said that the man is the movie man who was accused of burning the Budo schools, kept him in detention for 3 months, and Kaka said shamelessly that I have investigated the case and I have sent the file to the DPP. There is no way M.i.S.O can investigate. It's ID that investigates. So in my opinion, we were but never asumagira, not asumagira. The newspapers were compromised, the media, everybody, these human rights groups were compromised, the lawyers are compromised because the subterfuge is very powerful. Those who are loyal to Museveni will be. How can you say that a man whose mother was almost until what should we do, Mzee? Besigye is part of the mafia gang. This is why he knew he destroyed his party. He did not support Bobi Wine. He was sick and hurt, but he also paid. At one time, people will get evidence that actually Kizabesi was not a liberator. That Kizabesi was part. In 50 years, in 20 years, in 5 years, evidence will emerge because security is divided. There are people who fear. Me, I watch them. I watch their meetings. They are worried that we are going to be. America is going to declare a no-fly zone on us. That their assets have been confiscated in China. China that they expected to be an ally. China is saying, for us, we don't mind who is in power. Any person, any president in power, we don't sign agreements with individuals.
We'll pay our debts.
Yes. So everybody who wants peace in Uganda should give Museveni time. Give Museveni time. Give Museveni is time to hand. I'm seeing a different Museveni. Museveni who knows that has been betrayed by his people. The battle is inside the palace. The people are killing people, not like a peace activists. The people are killing people, detaining them and torturing them against the law, against the constitution, unknown. Because we are going to have a balance sheet. One, this General Narration admitted, revealed that he was in charge. So let Narration present the list. J.J. Odongo has presented the list. Let Bobi Wine also present the list of those missing. The mistake I see there is that they are missing. You can call a person missing when he was killed in India for those who for organ trafficking. Yes. How are we going to know those who have died from COVID and those who have died from natural causes? This is where the problem is. Those that have died from torture. That's why I'm suggesting a humble suggestion to Parliament or to the President. We have already been stripped naked. We have nothing to hide. Let the Parliament institute, let the President appoint a committee of religious leaders. Because having, and it can tell you why Kagwa died, a mysterious death. Because we don't have a chairman of the Human Rights Commission, which is a constitution that it is an internal audit. Why did Kagwa die? Why has Musada died? Why I'm the only remaining person? Because I have this in Kofir. I'm one elder. in my religion. You kill me, every maggot. Every maggot which comes out of
you are the only remaining elder now.
I'm the only remaining fire.
And I heard that Nadul is also starting to become sick.
Okay. But that's why I put on this coffee. So therefore, this is a simple matter. Give Museveni a chance. Margaret Thatcher was saying, Uganda needs an experienced hand. Give Milton a chance. Give Museveni a chance. Museveni was given wrong information by security forces. Museveni has moved in. He's going to release, and whoever is released, because they have nowhere to hide. All of those people who are coming out of prisons are coming out with evidence that are going to implement their mentors. This is why we lost elections. We are beaten badly in Kasese. Why? Those who were arrested during the fighting in Mumbere's palace were released, went back with the stories. Where is Randiso? That one was killed. Where is Randiso? And they know they are killers. They will be hunted down because Uganda is under the strict microscope of the international community. ICC is here, has the agency here. The ICC is here. It does, you know what is happening here. They're investigating serious cases. So therefore, let us as Ugandans keep calm. Let Bobi Wine also. Bobi Wine is young. The only thing good thing about a younger person, Museveni started in the 70s. He took power when? This man in Senegal, Wade, started when? In Shikedi, started fighting in Mobutu at independence. His son is now president. Politics and the law is where old age matters. Yes, they need old people. That's why they put on wigs to appear as if they have gray hair. So therefore, this is a challenging period for our country. I wouldn't like to see Uganda destroyed like Libya. In fact, Somalia. Even if we had nuclear weapons, as alleged that we have nuclear Korean, let the president allow inspectors to visit these so-called places so that we don't risk the strikes of Libya.
Now what if they are there? Can you allow them if it is there?
This country. Museveni has worked to rejuvenate the image of this country. Most of us, many Ugandans now, we have gone back to the 60s, to the 50s, to the 70s, where Ugandans are now identifying themselves abroad as Nigerians, as Kenyans.
Yes.
Because they cannot identify with the atrocities that are being aired on
social media everywhere.
Also, Bobi Wine, I tell Bobi Wine, when you see your mother naked, don't call the other boys. When you're playing football and you go back to drink water and you find your mother naked, do you call the boys, the other boys, to see the nakedness of your father?
No.
I know Bobi Wine has a lot of information. Bobi Wine has a lot of photos. Bobi Wine has a lot of information, damaging information. But Bobi Wine should have this in mind, that he will be destroying his government, his country. Destroying is easy, but fighting a bad image is not easy. Why do I play these tapes? I play these tapes because I found out that these people don't fear Museveni. They say, okay, oh yo, Museveni, that's why they're bitter. Any TV station or radio station that plays these tapes, they move in swiftly. They fear the international community. Yeah, too. I want the population to know, including the foreign people, to know that the problems in Uganda are not caused by Museveni. If you take that mentality, that by having Museveni removed, you are going to create another. But
the reluctance with the handling those causing problems,
let us allow Kenya.
Is his.
Kenya, they killed themselves, but they did not get international interference. This is what Museveni stresses. Regional and regional bodies can solve a regional problem more than an international one. Because for us, there are certain things which Bazungu don't understand, which for us we understand. That, let me tell you, I have a riot detector myself. I don't know whether it is illegal to have a riot detector. But do you think our intelligence people, have we ever seen a riot detector? Do they know how to extract evidence without torture? Have we had this training of having
a lie detector? Someone sits there.
Because many of these intelligence officers are school dropouts who have been picked by people.
The Sobi style.
I wouldn't, like me, I'm not surprised that there's chaos in Kampala. A man who was in Kampala, who threatened Bobi Wine, that he will not allow him to address the rally, is at DC. Oh, you can such a man with such a character, with such a mind, who doesn't know that this is an opposition leader, a primitive man like that one? How can he be another dish of Kampala?
I see.
And everybody keeps quiet. Me, I don't fear to be killed. You kill me, every maggot gets out of my body. You pepper 2 humans in your family. Let us meet again.
Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting TMO. Tubasibudde. Mwelaba.